are we going to answer back to the 76 version? You know, we start with a brand new character in a brand new world, that's great. I think that something that we had to figure out was why. For, you know, this is how Damien's born, but why? And that was a really exciting journey because we had a lot of real estate to play with in the middle. Yeah. And we were allowed to rewrite the set pieces and really dive into POV. It was a little bit more of like a creepy kid movie before. And we were like, this is a little bit more repulsion for us.
Right.
And everybody was on board with that. The Omen is such a sacred film to so many people, and it's so well done. We knew we had to stray away from it and make our own thing, but also dip into that world. So what was really nerve-wracking was like trying to figure out that balance, and that balance was always shifting. So that was a big balancing act that I think we were constantly talking about, but always very like cognizant of. We were so skeptical about even pitching on a prequel, because I think prequel has some, baggage.
Yep.
And we were like, well, this is a movie about birth. If we're talking about how Damien was born, we're talking about birth, which means we're talking about the female form. We're probably talking about forced reproduction. We're talking about rape. Like, we're talking about some very serious issues. Also, this was, we were in Texas pitching when the 6-week ban was passed in Texas. Like, we were in the midst of it all. So we were like, you can't shy away from the imagery. So let's see. Tim said, what's kind of the most far out there image, and what's the theme of the movie? And it was the birthing clinic scene, and it was the vagina shot. And so that's what we pitched. We said, this is a scene we want to do, and this is an image that we want to show. And that is indicative of how we wanted to see the rest of this movie. And so it's a Zoom with a bunch of faces, and we shared that, and it was silent, and I was like, oh God, it froze right before.
Wait, what did you share? An image of an actual birth?
No, we just talked through the scene.
Okay.
And like tried to give as many visual descriptions as possible,
Gotcha.
But said this is a scene we want to write and how we want to shoot it. And everybody was frozen. And then David Goyer started nodding and goes, absolutely. And then everybody starts nodding. And
surrounded by yes men.
Yeah. And it was so cool. It was just like this like Brady Bunch of nods. And I was like, this is great. I have visuals, let me share them. And they're like, no, it's cool. Like, we got you, like, just, yes. And then they hired us. As we get older, we are really encouraged to dissociate from our bodies, especially women, I think. Not to exclude the men from that sentiment. But I do think that it's very difficult to live in your body, especially if it's being sexualized or being forced to live up to certain expectations. And so I lose track of my body a lot. I think I lost a relationship with my body growing up. And first, macro photography of the body and then body horror started to let me like reintroduce myself to a human form and also start to reconnect. Like, if you're looking at a piece of the body on screen and it's getting torn up, you start to feel that in you, and it starts to reintroduce you to this part of your body and say like, yes, this is mine, I have that as well, I'm feeling pain right now. This whole movie is about body horror seen through a female lens, and we're looking for these little ways to incorporate body horror that didn't involve gore and didn't involve blood. Mm-hmm. And so, the nun getting her wimple put on and her face getting stretched, like little moments of body horror like that. And for me, like unflinching eye contact in moments of vulnerability became aggression. That making movies is such a scary thing. It's so, like, the movies coming out today, you're totally vulnerable. And part of this process is like learning how to get over that fear and keep being brave. And I think I think horror is everything. Like, I think you just turn your head a little bit and it's a horror movie. I also think that horror is becoming prestige cinema. Like, I think horror films are going to start winning Academy Awards. I think they'll win, Palme d'Ors. They already do. I think that we are really speaking to each other through horror, and people are really, they have a lot to say now.
Yeah.
So I would love to stay in horror, but I also just want to keep making movies and not making movies out of fear.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, making a studio film, I think you're really introduced to a lot of fear, and learning how to break through that and make something that you're really proud of. It was a really rewarding experience and a really big lesson. I want to keep doing that. It's intoxicating.